to The Studio, the official podcast of SlowArt.com and the home for Cal Poly students, alumni, faculty, friends, pets, you name it. This is episode 119 for May 20th, 2014, the Fab Four. I hear the good old train in the background.
Actually, that's the train from my office.
We are live tonight with Ryan Brockett, Angela Bracco, Humberto Norman, and Jermaine Washington, who are in a studio at Cal Poly.
Got some students back here.
And we got some students. So we've got 7 students or so.
Join.
Want to introduce yourselves?
Say your name. Where do you go?
I'm Derek Brown.
Seth Felix.
Keating Yoshi.
Rodrigo Robles Gonzalez.
Jennifer Jim. Laura Costa.
Brendan Johnston.
And these are all first-year students. They've you guys have survived your first year at Cal Poly. That's a big accomplishment.
Almost.
Oh, yeah.
Still
Not
have 3
yet.
more weeks, so it's not over yet.
Oh, the pressure is on. So just really quickly, we do have some business. We do want to recognize our new Facebook fan for this episode, Ha Nul Jo from South Korea. Q, do you know her by any chance?
No, I don't.
No, okay.
I'm assuming she's maybe an exchange student at Cal Poly or has some kind of ties in that sense, but I don't know her.
Yeah, she's actually, according to her Facebook page, she is attending architecture school in South Korea, but maybe she came to Poly for the 4th year. Could be. I don't know. So thanks for that. And then just the one big piece of Cal Poly news for this week. Chumash show, the 5th year architecture show, is happening this weekend, and we will be there on Saturday. We'll get there around 2 and be there for the show open and try to talk to as many people as possible. So come out and say hi. And from our guests tonight, how many of you are planning on going to the architecture show on Saturday?
Everybody? Yeah. Raise up there.
Oh, not all the freshmen are going. Faculty, yes. Freshmen, no.
We got work to do this weekend.
There better be 7 hands raised behind me. That's all I got to say. We hold their grades, so they got to raise their hand. So, yeah.
Exactly. So, well, let's go down the panel real quick and have our guests introduce themselves. Ryan, we'll start with you since you're on the right side as I'm looking at the picture, and then we'll just go across.
So, Ryan, Cal Poly grad 2004. My first year of teaching here with these guys. I've been living up in San Francisco since graduation for the most part, and just made a full move back here to San Luis Obispo to teach and work part-time.
Hey, Ryan, out of curiosity, who did you have first year design studio?
I had Don Swearingen for Expert 3/4.
Okay. Okay. I had Weisenthal, and because did you start in '98?
Technically, I started Cal Poly in '97. I started architecture in, I guess, '99.
'99. Okay. Okay. Yes.
For into the program.
Okay. Yeah, your name. I was trying to think if we ever had any classes together, but we might have, just not core design studios. And then to your right is.
Bracco.
And tell us a little about yourself.
Humberto Norman. I graduated from Poly in '05. I worked at RRM for a couple of years with Q. And
Ryan?
Hey, there you go.
I'm also a big fan of Q.
I'm a big fan of Q, yes. Very smart, wise man. I learned a lot from him, even though he was learning from me, apparently.
I was the lowly intern for Humberto and Ryan.
Oh, you were the man.
You were the
You were.
And then Angela is next.
Angela, class of 2007. Shortly after graduation, I worked in Yosemite National Park for the summer.
Nice.
Yeah, money, moved to New York City, worked there, metal fabrication company, historical renovation, architecture firm, and then moved to London. And then I went to grad school there, worked there for a year, and relocated back to SLO to come teach first year with these guys.
Sweet.
And then last but not least, Jermaine.
Jermaine, class of, oh, wait a minute, I'm not from Cal Poly. I'm at Auburn University.
Oh, wait,
Okay, get him off the show. You're out.
Auburn University, where I did my undergraduate as well. After that, I spent some time overseas, about 3 years in Barcelona working for an architecture firm, and 2 years in Sydney, Australia, before I made my way to California to teach first year.
Nice. So Jermaine, I was busy insulting you and didn't hear. Where and when did you get your undergraduate degree?
From Auburn University, which is in Alabama.
Auburn. Okay. Well, you know, it's no Cal Poly, but you've got good friends, so we'll let you stay here.
Thank you very much.
And actually, your faculty, and we've had a lot of faculty on the show who did not graduate from Cal Poly, so you get a pass there. So the big question, I guess, is how did you all end up teaching at Cal Poly this year? What brought you here? What was the process, and why?
Hey, no?
Maybe a little bit of luck.
We applied online and then a person answered the phone. Well, I Skyped Margot from
I think we had
Camping?
to beg a little bit as well.
So did Margot remember you?
she did.
So how many first-year studios are there this year?
13.
Yeah, just 13.
13.
So we run 3 time zones. So we do a 9 to 12, 12 to 3, and a 3 to 6.
Wow.
So we do 5 in the morning, 5 in the afternoon, and just 3 studios.
So Ryan, you were thinking that this might be the biggest freshman class ever?
Yeah, I believe it is.
Fact.
We weren't thinking, it's a fact, yeah.
It's a fact.
Biggest freshman class ever.
So we start
It's
fall.
only first year, so you don't know what's going to happen, but
I
We lost some.
think we start fall with 330 or
20.
so architecture and archi students. And I think right now, to date, we're down to about 275 or something like that.
So I know in the past, I mean, architecture is one of the most impacted programs, and it's really hard to get into. So what led to the opening up of more studios this year? Do you know what caused that?
I think that was from the top. They wanted us to expand. They're expanding Cal Poly, and because we have a strong program, they're interested in that expansion.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Just economy as well. I think while we have the largest first year class, I think the 5th year group is one of the smallest that we've had. Because if you think back 4 or 5 years ago, economy wasn't as good as well. So
I also think a factor might have been the fact that even though the architecture program might be one of the strongest programs on campus, it's often not the very sort of, it doesn't have a big voice, right? So
Right.
some of that had to do with it as well.
And they usually allow a certain number of people and they accept a certain number of students. And then, but you never know how many are coming in, how many are actually coming to Cal Poly. So this time there was also a lot of students that decided to come here for whatever reason. So we had a larger number than usual.
Now, I know in past years there is a certain number of first-year students who come in transferring from, junior colleges, community colleges. Have you seen an increase in that, or are most of the first-year students, this is their first college experience?
I think they're trying to accept most transfer students as third years, no? So
Oh, really?
we're seeing a lot of maybe change of majors, but not. Look at all those advising hours paid off.
yeah, I think second and third year would be for transfer students.
Yeah. Okay. So, what has the experience been so far? None of you have taught at the college level before, correct? This is your first experience.
Have not, no.
Rookie season.
Yeah.
So how's it been?
I'm great. Excited. What do you think?
How do you guys think?
They already left, all the students are gone, never mind.
They need to work on their study hall.
Yeah, they have a lot of work to do.
can
So-
you guys give us kind of like a brief as far as curriculum, what you guys are teaching, what the students' finals projects are as they leave the classroom now?
Yeah. Who wants to go?
Well, I think right now they're sort of knee deep in sort of a experiential project, which is we sort of based off the story of James and the giant peach. And it's a fairly abstract project, but some of it has to do with the fact that they have already done a lot of sort of rigorous technical projects beforehand. So, some of the angst with that is that we want them to sort of feel free to sort of experiment. So I think that was the meanings of the project they're into now.
So a lot of the projects that they've done have been really hands-on. They're in the shop a lot for the Parasite project and for the Design Village. And the Design Village project is one where they actually inhabit a structure and they sleep in it for one night.
So was that a required first-year project this year?
It is now a required first-year project. Did you do it, Tim? Design Village?
I've never done it. I've definitely been up there and seen the projects, but never did it.
How about you, Q? Was that already in effect?
No, I've never done it either. I've been up there, I've seen the stuff that's been going on, but it wasn't a part of the curriculum at my time.
So I think that happened when Michael Lucas took over first year. I think it might have been the year after you graduated. And he did a lot of changes. It's a lot more hands-on now than it was before.
Yeah, so just a little background. Before we had our studio classes for first year, we also had, I think, Art 106. There was a software technology class. So they revamped the whole first year curriculum maybe 5-6 years ago or so, incorporated all those classes into full studio 4 days a week program.
Okay. So the students get their own studio where they can work without having to work back at the dorms or anything like that?
But every project incorporates all those aspects: shop-based technology, true studio environment, similar to what you would see in our typical second and third year program.
Yeah, that's a huge shift, and I didn't realize that had happened.
Well, it's still the same hot desk though as before. Sorry.
What was that?
It's still the same like hot desks as before, so it's not like second year or third year, etc., that you have a permanent desk.
I see.
There's still 3 or 2 studios that share the same classroom. So in all actuality,
Okay.
it is similar to how it was. The curriculum has changed drastically.
But they have a designated studio,
Yeah.
so they have a key that they can come in and work, even though they're sharing a desk.
Yeah, I think that's great because when I was first year student, it was very like almost a part-time program where we were only in studio for studio session, and then if we wanted to work on our projects, it had to be back at Sequoia dorms or
Yep. Yeah, same for me.
wherever else. And,
Yeah, the common room at Sequoia was our
our
studio.
drafting room. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it still is, I hear a lot of people still work there, but they can work here.
Well, the room behind you is pretty empty, so they're working somewhere.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
You're not seeing the mess that's kind of behind you guys over here.
There's plaster covering the ground.
And you guys come work over here?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it's empty, but
They all cleared out because they're trying to.
They're here, they got shadow.
And how many students are in each studio, roughly?
Between 24 and 22.
Okay.
Yeah, I have 21. Yeah.
Which is a pretty large number compared to second and third years. There were 16 or so students. So starting with 24 in fall quarter, it is a handful.
So-
That's been sort of interesting for me as sort of a new person, right, to see that transition of the influx of students and how it affects sort of facilities and just being able to meet one time an hour with 100 plus people. It's sort of hard to find a space on campus to do that. So.
We also get together
Can't
we also get together one day a week, Thursday mornings, for a common hour at 8 o'clock, where we get all 13 studios together and all the teachers, and we either introduce new project prompts, give them some
Lecture.
lecture technology.
So is that like EDES 101, or does EDES 101 still exist?
It still exists. That's Carmen. Yeah, she's also the coordinator for this first year group.
So I probably should have told this story when the students were still behind you, but I think it was in EDES where we were told to look to our left and then look to our right, and they said those people probably won't be there if you graduate this program.
but you made it.
We have a more positive outlook. We tell them, look to your right. Everybody in this studio is going to make it. I'm not sure about everybody else's studio. My studio is all going to make it.
I thought we told them that they might get married to one another.
Yeah.
That happens quite a bit.
We had an ARC baby born yesterday from my class.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Some tiny baby architecture baby.
Nice.
So I'm gonna have to go on Poly Ratings and search for you guys, right?
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Am I on there already?
Yes, you are.
I don't know.
You ready?
Have you looked? What are your ratings, Angela?
Mine are. I think the last time I checked it was like 3.7 something.
Oh.
Yes.
I was looking.
Mine was still
Jermaine's
like
so
4.0.
Jermaine
Nice.
himself.
You're a 4.9.
The only rating in there is Jermaine, right? He rated himself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you. When you started, so Angela said you applied. It was a miracle, fate. You got in. What was the orientation like? None of you had taught college level before. Like how did they transition you into this, or did they just say, go sit in the class and let the see what happens?
Learn by doing, right?
It applies to professors too. You gotta learn by
I
doing.
think we opened the doors on the first day. I walked in, had 24 students.
We had everything under control. Okay?
Well, I mean, that's pretty intimidating. I know college students are typically more well behaved than, let's say, fourth graders. But to walk into a class, I mean, you have to have had some prep on the curriculum or what was expected of you as faculty, right? Did that happen?
Yeah, we had some coordination meetings before the fall quarter started, where we got together with everybody and talked about projects and.
Looked at portfolios.
Yeah, but as far as training for the studio environment, I think our training was just based on us going through the program and having the knowledge base of what we did first year versus fifth year and what we've done since professionally. Jermaine's a little bit different since he came from different schools, so we all went through the program here.
Don't isolate Jermaine.
Also, I like to tell the story of, I considered myself oriented and prepared for the first day of school. I'm sort of going over some notes and talk to the coordinator, but, the first day I get in front of my class and the hand goes up and someone says, what do we call you? And it was one of the things that I had not thought about previously. So
That's right, and a lot of the students coming from high school, they're maybe still used to Mr. Washington or something like that. So do they call you just Jermaine, or?
I sort of turned it back on him and I gave it to him as sort of a charrette. I gave him sort of 10 minutes
Nice.
to figure out what they should call me. And so I gave them 10 minutes and they all came up with different names and I actually picked the best name.
So what do you know by now?
Pro Washington.
Okay.
Confused with Bro Washington.
That's pro.
That's pro with a P.
And did the other three of you, did you go through a similar charrette? Or did you just come in and say, call me whatever?
I think they call us whatever now.
Yeah, I think because we came here, or we went to Cal Poly, we were already accustomed to that first name thing.
Right.
Which, maybe looking back on it though, I should have said, Professor Bracco would have been better.
But it is strange that first day having people call you Professor, and Mr. and Mrs. and Sir, things like that.
It's weird. It's weird the first day because I don't know. For me, I was kind of nervous. These 22 students. So I memorized their names the previous day. So that's all I could do. I'm calling them out by their name because I had them memorized. So that's all I did. And then luckily Carmen came in and got everybody for a coordination meeting, so I didn't have to talk too long.
Nice.
But you then realize that they're there to learn, so we can teach them something, and that kind of helps because you have 18 years on them, right? So it kind of helps to know that we have more experience than they do, so I can just teach them. It's all good.
And I think that's been a pretty staple part of just being a new teacher in general, right? You understand where they are, and you understand that you've been in that very position. So it's a good sort of direct relationship that you have with them.
And I feel like we're constantly learning as we go every day of how we have these teaching moments and how to better ourselves, and we also we're learning from the reflections of the students how the projects are working for them, what deadlines or assignments we might need to adjust, either push things down or add work to their assignments. So every day is new. We get together as a group and discuss the projects at hand, and we go week by week as well.
Yeah, Carmen has been really good about telling us explaining the project ahead of time. And if we need clarification, then she's always available. And then Greg was also available. Greg Wynn was available the first quarter to kind of help us out. So he was really good.
Yeah, I like Greg. We worked together off and on through different things, and he's, just really knowledgeable, down-to-earth guy, always willing to help out.
Yeah, we have a great group of, this first year has been, so Carmen Trudell's the coordinator of the group. We've had Michael's was in it, fall, winter, Brent Freeby, Keith Wiley, Joanne Moore, Jim Bagnall, we had Kevin Dong, and Saliquis, Margarita,
Yeah, so all of these professors with a lot of experience have been very accessible and willing to help. So it's been a good situation, I think, for new people.
Yeah, some of those names you mentioned, they've been at Cal Poly for at least, 60, 70 years. So there's...
Jim
Bagnall, yeah.
It's pretty funny sitting at a coordination meeting with someone that, Michael was my 5th year teacher. He came to my studio. I looked over, one student was cutting on the first week of school, was cutting with their scale. And then I look over another person, I was like, whoa, not when Michael walks in the room. I thought you guys yesterday never cut with your scale.
Yeah, I mean, that's got to be intimidating, because you graduated, all 4 of you, not that long ago. And, of that list of professors that you just named off, half of them were there when you were there, and, Margot's still there, and, all these faculty are there. So do you still feel in those coordination meetings that you're, kind of the student, or do you feel that now that you've been there a year that you're more of an equal?
Yes.
Both. Depends on the day.
I think I was fine, and then we went to all faculty meeting, and I saw Howard walking in, and then I was like, remember when Howard used to heckle me in the hallway about, I don't know,
everything?
Howard, yeah, what you're drinking, wearing, what you're carrying in your hand, and I was like, oh wow, this is a little odd, right? But I think you start to adjust.
So do you ever feel like you're trying to emulate them, like maybe giving back to the students some of the harassment that you got when you were there?
I don't think it's really about that. I'm not harassing I don't think I was really harassed. To be honest, Cal Poly was, I feel like, a nice fluffy place to go to undergrad.
Yeah, what's funny is that I hear Michael Lucas talk sometimes, and I'm like, yeah, I feel exactly the same way. And then I realize, oh yeah, he taught me. He was my 5th year professor. So I guess we do have a little bit of everybody that taught us. I'm not sure we're trying to emulate anymore. I think we have our own voice. But we certainly learned our lessons from them.
Yeah, so I feel like I'm still learning from them. We go to crits, and we're alongside other teachers that are on the panel. There's a lot of times I feel like I'm still a student. There's plenty we can learn from them, but we also get to see a different side of them that I feel we didn't see when we were students here. And it's a pretty great social collaboration with the whole architecture faculty here, and they've all been very supportive of us and very helpful during the whole year.
I've noticed this just as sort of an outsider, right? That there's been a lot of leeway as far as you bringing your own sort of style. I think they brought us all in for that very reason. If they sort of saw something, this availability that we were going to bring something else to the table that they were not bringing already.
Yeah, I was watching the Chumash video that was put together, and that's kind of one of the things that Jonathan Reichert said about Cal Poly being a place where there isn't really one single doctrine of architecture, but it's really a place where everyone's kind of free to discover themselves in different paths in different ways. And I think it was maybe Karen that said it's kind of like a science fair on steroids, but that's kind of how I feel about the studio culture back at Cal Poly and how things kind of went. But overall it's a great experience, and I'm glad that the first year students get to really indulge themselves into that studio culture faster than the way that it used to be, at least when I was attending school there.
But I do think that's something interesting, or an interesting observation, is that if you look at the evolution of the curriculum, I mean, really, what they're learning now, I felt like I was learning at Fowler's, was learning, like now we're having reading sessions and discussions that were books that we were looking at in our 5th year. I mean, Fowler's class now, I mean, the articulation of these structural systems is incredible. I mean, we were taking pictures of fridges and analyzing them. Not that that wasn't a powerful project, but it's completely evolved, and that's great to see as well.
Yeah, Michael teaches a weekly ARC 101 class, which runs alongside Edith's class. And, you know, he's every week talking about theory, history, and a lot of things that we got fifth year that these students are starting out with. So they're being exposed to a lot more early on.
Yeah, they're going to be a lot smarter than we are.
Well, yeah, I mean, I haven't been in the first year studios, but looking at the fifth year work for the last however many years that Chumash has been going on, I've come back and the last 5 years, Haley and I, and this year Q, you know, we've documented every single project at Chumash, interviewed dozens of students, and over the last 5 years, we've seen a definite increase in the caliber of the work, the complexity of the projects, the understanding of the systems. So that makes sense if it's starting in first year, you know, that's resulting in just a higher caliber graduate in 5 years. So that makes sense. But, you know, I've got to say that, you know, talking to the four of you, teaching at Cal Poly is really making me feel old. The fact that, you know, our classes could now come back and be faculty is pretty crazy to think of it.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
What was that, Angela?
Gray hair to prove it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's sad. That's a topic for another day.
It's grad school now.
So are all of you living in SLO while you're teaching, or I know Ryan, you've been up in the city. Are you going back and forth, or how have you adjusted to becoming a teacher at Cal Poly?
Yeah, I was going back and forth fall and winter quarter, but I moved here full time in April for this quarter. So now a little bit more settled and able to spend more time here working as well. And Q knows I'm working with Jim Duffy, who was with us at RM at the time. And,
have you left your previous position in the city?
Yeah, I left at the beginning of fall quarter.
Okay.
Basically. I started working with Jim then. But it's great to be back in town and still connected with everybody who was here when we were students and, you know, working.
Sure.
Yeah, Firestone Grill is still there. That's the most important thing.
Everything is still here.
Same.
Yeah.
I've been here the whole time, so I haven't gone anywhere. I only went away for the 1 year for Europe and LA, and I came back. So I've been here 6-7 years. And
are you still practicing at the same time, or has teaching become kind of the main focus for you, or?
I'm half and half. I'm only teaching one studio, so I'm practicing, which I want to do. I want to practice. So I'm half and half. Yeah.
Same way with me.
And we're teaching full time this weekend.
2 studios.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I have to ask this question on behalf of Haley, but how many of you are licensed, and you know, what has been your path down licensure, and how does it help you become a teacher, or?
Go. Yeah, I'm licensed. I got a license when I was in San Francisco. I think that was one of the requirements to teach, was either to be licensed or to went to grad school. So that was able to allow me to be here.
Really? I didn't go to grad school, and I'm not licensed yet, so don't
You snuck through.
tell Marco. Don't tell Marco. I have all my exams finished. I just need the supplemental, so
Yes.
I'll be licensed this year if I get to it. Yeah.
Awesome. And Angela, you went to grad school, correct?
Grad school, so I still need to get that license.
And where are you at in the process?
I lost my hours actually when I went to grad school in London. Little visa, getting the visa through, didn't renew my IDP, so a little bit. So I have to start from the beginning.
So now how does that work for the IDP? Because you're not practicing, you're just...
That's a problem.
Faculty.
So the thing is, I will teach one studio out of one of the quarters, so I'm going to have to get an architecture job in town, hopefully.
Yeah.
When I get licensed.
When he gets licensed.
Ryan's.
Yeah, we're going to start our own office, and then over the summers. But I am teaching this summer over So yeah, I will start soon.
Fab 4 Studios.
Pardon?
Fab 4
Fab 4
Studios.
Studios.
Yeah, Fab 4. And Jermaine's almost licensed, no?
Yeah,
It's a
I'm
nice,
actually
name, Q. Yeah, that's cool.
like I said, I went to grad school as well, and also close on the, have one test to take, which is the California supplemental.
Yep. That's the hardest of the tests. Be very afraid. It's a beast.
Are you licensed?
Yeah, I was just about to ask that.
Yeah, I am licensed. I've been licensed 3 years now.
Congratulations. What about
Thank
you?
you.
I just passed my 3rd exam, so I still have 4 to go, plus the supplemental, so I guess maybe 5 to go.
Yeah, but I think the important thing though is that everyone on this call is either licensed or in the process, and I think that not only is it, well, Angela was in the process, now she's out of the process, now she's working on getting back in the process, but it's a goal, right? I mean, it's something that's on your radar. So.
Well, I think, this conversation is interesting in general because I think we've all seen, as far as the teaching world goes, there's sort of a gap in sort of the ability for us to have sort of mentors and to sort of work towards that, right? There really isn't anything in place to sort of have young teachers who want to teach, but also sort of make that next step into getting their license as well. So, that's something that we've kind of seen as a gap, and maybe there's some potential to actually institute something where we actually bring in some of these older professors that have been around and actually mentor us in some way.
So here's a topic. I'm not sure if it's been discussed on campus at all, but the state of California is currently, or the Architecture Board, the CAB, has been considering an alternate path to licensure that would incorporate with the architecture curriculum so that students upon graduation would be eligible for licensure. Have you heard of this at all?
No, I haven't followed it.
But this is also how it is in France, and so I might be slightly against that, if you're going to ask me how I feel.
Yeah, well, that was the next step. If you heard of it, they've been, I guess some other states have been testing it out, and the idea being that there's an internship program, a structured internship that goes along with the typical course curriculum. So the students have in-class time and also in-office time. The idea being that at the end of the 5 years, they've acquired enough internship experience to obtain a license. How does it work in France?
Well, in France, when you graduate, you pretty much are licensed. I think you have to take something like a supplemental upon graduation and maybe a few more months of internship. I'm not firm, but I did do the Paris Study Abroad program. But I think the reason why I think in all actuality that sounds fabulous, but sometimes I think you might miss out on some theory or exploration about questioning what architecture is. So as long as that was met in balance, I think that would be fabulous and a great opportunity for people to work towards being licensed.
Yeah, I think the conversation is still in the early phases. They had it on the agenda for the last CAB meeting, and they've formed an exploratory committee to see just what would be involved. So, it's still a new idea that's under investigation. So there's a lot of room to incorporate ideas and, your thoughts in the process.
What do you think? How do you feel?
We had a conversation about this in our last, I think it was our last episode, right, Q?
Yes.
Yeah, so Haley, our third partner, who couldn't join us tonight, she's all in favor of it. She thinks it's a great thing. I came into the episode dead set against it. I think right now I'm probably somewhere in the middle. I think if it's structured in I don't want to say correct way, but I think there might be a way to structure it to where it could work. But there's a lot of ifs in there.
I just felt like a lot of the projects in France were heavily bombarded with program, emphasis on like mechanical rooms, and it became almost more of this like checklist instead of this exploration of architecture, and that could have been my specific studio, and so that's why I would say at first I'm like, whoa, even though, when you talk about it, those are all great things that we would want, right, upon graduation.
Yeah. Well, and I don't want to rehash the last episode. Everyone can go back and listen to it. But I've been involved on the state level, determining. I have to be careful what I say, but trying to establish what architecture in California is, what the license means, and what are the criteria for licensure. And as we've gone through these explorations over the years, it's become very apparent to me that a good portion of the actual practice of architecture is learned outside of the classroom. And so I think, some of the things you've said in this talk tonight about how Cal Poly is restructuring the architecture program, I think actually lends a bit of optimism to me that maybe the architecture curriculum could be adapted to what architecture really is today. Because, like what you were saying, architecture isn't all about the theory and design. There's a lot of nitty-gritty practicality to actually practicing architecture that I didn't get into at Cal Poly.
Yeah, but there's a time and place to learn all that through internships and work after school.
Right.
Professionally, you're constantly learning. So
yep.
I've always been the mindset that I wouldn't trade, a few years of design, high quality design learning experience for those professional experience, because you'll get that. Once you start working, it'll take a few years to catch on, but your education design is very valuable as a foundation.
Yeah, and I agree completely. And I think for me at least, and for you as well, Ryan, you went through the process of that core design education, and then you went out and practiced, and you got your license. Those were not completely separate phases, but they had a different focus.
Yeah.
And I think that's that 8 or 10 years or more of time to really absorb all that is important. But, so are you going to teach next year? Maybe that's a good question to ask. Are you coming back?
We just reapplied yesterday.
I think we'd all like to be back. So I don't know. It's up to the students, the department, to see if they want us back. You have to ask them.
I will. Yeah. On who makes that decision? Is that Margot? Is she deciding that?
Yeah, and you guys.
Oh my gosh, you guys!
Where's Margot right now?
I'm sure Margot would love to be hassled about that.
Yeah, I'll talk to Margot on Saturday. I'll ask her about it. Say, hey.
We've all reapplied to the pool, and I think for the most part we all had a pretty good experience this year. And
I also think we've all felt very lucky to have the group that we have. We've seen really close, and we've heard this from other years in architecture, how close-knit a group the first-year professors are. So I think there's a lot to be said about that. It's whether it's the luck of the draw or we just happen to be in the same mindset.
I like everyone, except for Angela. But everyone, Angela, I'm still getting used to.
I think for me, next year would be interesting to go through it after having this experience this year, because we'll kind of know what to watch out for. We went through a lot of these teaching moments. I think we'll all be stronger because of it, and I think it'll be a lot of fun again next year.
Yeah. You want to teach Q?
I'd love to. I'd really love to. Hopefully one of you guys will get tenured in the coming year so that you can put in a case for me, huh?
We like the fact that, it's as not having that experience your first year, you're sort of a maverick, right? It's like, what do you say to this kid? So a lot of that is just, it comes from somewhere. You don't really know where that place is, but you find it every day. That's been sort of the interesting experience for me.
Mm-hmm. In the studio environment, I feel I'm once again almost a first-year student here, 15 years later. We're working alongside the students, going through all these projects, trying to figure out the prompts and how things are going to end up. So it's been nice kind of not knowing what lies ahead as well, and discovering it along the way. Like even, we have 3 weeks left here, and we still don't know exactly how this is all going to end. It's still somewhat of a mystery. Well,
Well, I know there's going to be some beautiful sections,
All right.
right? I can't wait. With
Nothing but beautiful
circulation and
projects.
light,
You want to show your project?
tribute to the earth and tribute to the sky.
Never mind.
Well, we'll stop by your classes. Well, actually, I guess you don't have class on Saturday, so we won't really see any work.
Well, there should be students in studio, right? So.
Yes.
Yeah, come by, walk over to the building.
Like,
They're saying no. They're going to be on the beach.
Yeah.
the beach and architecture school. I can tell you we went like 5 times over 5 years.
I went twice.
What? How what? That's so hard to believe.
I'm pretty sure I was in the box.
Yeah, I went to the beach at least once a week. I mean, how do you go twice?
How did you graduate, Tim? Come on. Huh?
Well, it did take me a year longer, so that's why I sacrificed some class time for beach time.
65.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, this has been fun. Is there anything that haven't talked about that you would like to bring up, or questions for us, or questions for each other that you want to, discuss on the air here? This is the time to get the dirt out.
Oh yeah, Ryan's engaged.
I was American said it. It's perfect.
Congratulations,
Congrats.
Ryan.
Ryan is engaged. He's getting married soon.
Thank
Are you engaged? No. Are you engaged?
I'm single in San Luis Obispo. It's awesome.
Hey, you have the world. No.
Oh yeah, I just did.
Yes. Okay. So Angela, class of 07,
Single
in
and
San
ready
Luis
to
Obispo.
mingle.
Get some fan,
Whoa, you.
get some fan mail.
Yeah.
Or
Are you available, Tim? Do you have a girlfriend?
I am married
No,
and
Tim,
have
Tim has
many
like
children.
10 children now.
Congratulations, Tim.
Thanks. I don't have 10 children. We're actually working on number 5 right now. But
Wow.
Really?
seriously, yeah.
How do you have time for the podcast thing? I mean,
Before I had the kids, we were recording once a week. Now we're down to once a month. So, yeah, it's cut back a lot.
well, good for you.
Thanks.
Don't talk to Angela. She's looking for a single man, not a married.
Okay, well, this really isn't a dating show, but
I'm sorry.
oh, I think this is probably a good time to wrap up.
Yep. It's a great We'll see you guys later.
I guess we'll see you possibly Chumash on Saturday.
Yeah, we will be here for sure,
We'll be there. Yep.
and we'll be looking forward to meeting you in person. Sorry, Angela, for how this show wrapped up, but
That was my fault. My bad.
My brother, there
but we appreciate you coming on. And for everyone else who would like to be part of the show, make sure you visit us at facebook.com/slowart. Of course, slowart.com is where you can find the podcast along with iTunes and a bunch of other places. And we will be at Chumash, so come by and say hello.
Yeah, thank you guys for making time. Good to see you guys, not just in person, but also in studio, representing the podcast.
Yep. Thanks so much, guys, and good luck to all your students. There they are. Hello, students.
Hello.
Wait.
you go.